Hi everyone, it's time for another Friends Breakdown episode. If you haven't seen the first one, please go back and watch the one with the new roommate. And this week we are breaking down Season 1, Episode 2, the one with the sonogram at the end. This series is designed to explain the pop culture references embedded within the TV series Friends. American sitcoms are full of pop culture references, and when you understand them, it makes the show so much more fun to watch. You can also check the description boxes below for any extra words or phrases that I didn't explain that just came up in the episode. But let's begin with the first pop culture reference of episode 2.
Yeah, I think for us, kissing is pretty much like an opening act, you know? I mean, it's like the stand-up comedian you have to sit through before Pink Floyd comes out.
This one is a little tricky to explain because it is a sexual reference. They are referring to the band Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd was an English rock band that was established in 1965. Another Brick in the Wall is probably their most famous hit. The reference that Chandler makes is basically, it's a sexual reference saying, look, men are in it for the good stuff. Women like the stuff before and after. And so that is the reference. And generally before a rock band or any major group plays a concert, there's usually a backing band that comes on before to warm up the audience. But in this reference, they were talking about just a general stand-up comedian warming up the crowd, telling jokes before the main band comes on. They're basically saying, look, you guys like the supporting act, we like the main act, and that's where the miscommunication is.
Looks like she didn't leave in such a hurry after all.
Oh, I think this is the episode of Three's Company where there's some kind of misunderstanding.
Then I've already seen this one.
In this reference, they are referring to another American sitcom called Three's Company. It ran from 1977 to 1984, and basically in every episode of Three's Company, there was a misunderstanding where somebody thought that something had happened, but something else happened, and so that is the joke. Chandler's making a joke like, oh, I think this is the episode where there's a misunderstanding, and then Phoebe very seriously says, oh, well, then I've seen this one, and she turns the TV off. But the joke is every single episode has a misunderstanding.
Ew, 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 ew.
What?
Ugly naked guy got a Thighmaster.
Thighmaster, as you can see in the picture, is a simple toning tool that came out in the US in the 80s and 90s, and it was very popular and it was very easy, and you put it between your thighs and you squeeze it with your thighs to tone and build muscle. And he is saying that the ugly naked guy that lives across from them got a Thighmaster, and it was disgusting, and everybody or a few people ran to the window to have a look.
No, I had it this morning. I know I had it when I was in the kitchen with...
Dinah?
The reason why Chandler says Dinah when she says someone's in the kitchen is because there's a popular American folk song called I've Been Working on the Railroad. A lot of Americans know the song. It wasn't very big in British culture or British popular culture. It wasn't something that I was familiar with much as a child, except through American television. But, you know, it's got the lyrics, I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. And the chorus, or a big part of the song, says, someone's in the kitchen with Dinah, someone's in the kitchen with Dinah, strumming on the old banjo. It's a big American pop culture reference, and so that is why that joke is funny.
And I read about these women trying to have it all, and I thank God our Little Harmonica doesn't seem to have that.
Our Little Harmonica is funny because in our culture, we love nicknames. We love nicknames. We give them to everyone that we can. If somebody's name is Randy Joe, then they are called RJ, or David Jason is DJ. We love nicknames, and so obviously Monica's father's nickname for her is Harmonica, Our Little Harmonica, which is a mouth organ, a musical instrument that is sometimes called a mouth organ, and makes the joke funny.
Hey, I'll go down there and I'll give Barry back his ring, and you can go with Carol and Susan to the OB-GYN.
From my travels around the world, I have only ever heard an obstetrician or an obstetrician gynecologist or a gynecologist be referred to as an OB-GYN. OB is obstetrician, GYN is short for gynecologist. In the US, OB-GYN is a very common acronym or shorter name for who you go to when you are pregnant.
The baby's name?
Marlon.
Marlon.
If it's a boy, Minnie if it's a girl.
As in mouse?
As in my grandmother.
Still, you say Minnie, you hear mouse.
Minnie, as in mouse, is relatively self-explanatory, but Minnie Mouse is one of the big Disney characters, Mickey Mouse's girlfriend, and so he's basically saying, I'm not naming my child Minnie. She will be teased. If you hear Minnie, you think of Mouse, and it just didn't work for him as a possible baby name.
I went with Mindy.
Mindy? My Maid-Of-Honor, Mindy?
Yeah, we're kind of a thing now.
For those of you that do not know, a maid of honor is an unmarried woman that is the head of the bridesmaids. When a woman gets married, she often has a few bridesmaids who are her best friends or her sisters, and the maid of honor is the head of everything, organizes everything, makes sure that everything is done, is the bride's person that they go to throughout the preparation of the wedding and definitely on the wedding day. If a woman is married, she is usually called the matron of honor instead of the maid of honor. And so Rachel is like, oh wow, you are now involved, like Barry is her ex-fiance, you are now involved very quickly with my maid of honor, Mindy, who was obviously her best friend and the person that she went to, and so she sees it as a bit of a betrayal.
Oh, please, what's wrong with Helen?
Helen Geller? I don't think so.
The reason why Helen Geller got a laugh and is funny is because there was an extremely famous woman called Helen Keller. She was blind and deaf, and she had this amazing woman that taught her how to sign and how to communicate. And Helen Keller became very well known. She wrote a book, an autobiography of her life, which was turned into a movie called The Miracle Worker. And most of us in English-speaking culture have seen The Miracle Worker. And so Ross is saying, Helen Geller? No. Like, she will also be teased. That's not going to happen. It's too close to the famous woman, Helen Keller.
Well, isn't that amazing?
What are we supposed to be seeing here? I don't know, but I think it's about to attack the Enterprise.
The last reference that I'm going to explain, and some of you may know, especially if you are Star Trek fans, is that the USS Enterprise, or the Starship Enterprise, was a fleet of spaceships in the very popular sci-fi series Star Trek. And so basically, Chandler says, whatever the sonogram is, it looks like it is about to attack the Starship Enterprise. And that is the joke. As with every Friends episode that I break down, I am going to mention just a few fun trivia facts or any inconsistencies. For this episode, I will begin with the character of Carol, Ross's ex-wife, and a lot of the episode centered around her and the pregnancy. You may notice that this is the only time that this actress, Anita Barone, played Carol. She only played Carol in this episode, and after this episode, the future Carols until the end of season 10 was played by Jane Sibbett. So this is the only time you see this Carol. The fun thing about Chandler and the way that he speaks is the actor Matthew Perry was actually born in Canada. And he had some friends that he used to hang around with, and they developed this speech pattern. Could I be any more excited? That was not fun. And he developed this speech pattern with friends of his in their backyards, in their homes in Canada when he was a child. And so he says that he was born to play Chandler, that Chandler was him. And so he was very excited when he got the role. If you've read his autobiography like I have, you will see how much he wanted that role desperately. And I think he was always destined to play it. The last thing that I will mention is just the joke with Willick Bunch Geller and Geller Willick Bunch. Geller is Ross's last name. Willick is Carol's last name, and Bunch is Susan's last name, and Susan is Carol's life partner. In our culture, we often hyphenate names. This is a little bit crazy because there's often not 3 last names for someone. It's usually just 2 with a hyphen. And he was suggesting his name first and Carol's name second, who is the mother, and then Susan's name last because he didn't really want it. And so there was a fight about whose name comes first, whose name comes second, and whose name comes last. I hope you enjoyed this episode, the one with the sonogram at the end. I hope you enjoyed the pop culture references, and I will see you again for the next episode, titled The One with the Thumb, in a couple of weeks.